Aristotle believed that to be truly free, a man must first become a slave, not to another man, but to his own discipline. Sparta agreed, but Sparta went further. They believed that the richer a man was, the more dangerous he became, unless he was restrained. That is the paradox. In most societies, wealth buys comfort. In Sparta, wealth demanded hardship. Walk with me through stone, not Athens, where marble glittered and rhetoric flowed like wine. Sparta left no grand columns, no theaters, no monuments to display refinement. What they left was reputation, and reputation built on restraint survives longer than marble. The Spartans did not train rich men to enjoy privilege. They trained them to endure it, because untrained privilege corrodes a state faster than invasion. And that is where this becomes uncomfortable. Discipline was never about war. Modern minds assume Sparta was obsessed with battle. They were not. War was occasional. Power was constant. The real threat to Sparta was not Persia. It was internal imbalance. Too much luxury among the elite, too much softness among the wealthy, too much appetite at the top. Sparta understood something modern societies pretend not to see. When the rich become indulgent, order erodes. Erosion does not announce itself. It spreads quietly. So Sparta did something radical. They denied rich men visible comfort. Even kings ate in common mess halls. Even elites slept in austerity. Gold was discouraged. Iron currency was heavy and inconvenient. Why? Because comfort amplifies hierarchy. And hierarchy without restraint breeds resentment. Resentment destabilizes power. And ask yourself honestly, if your income increased tomorrow, would your discipline remain constant or decline? Sparta did not trust prosperity. They trained against it. The architecture of status control. In most societies, wealth separates. In Sparta, wealth was leveled publicly. Not because they rejected property entirely, but because they feared visible inequality. Visible inequality creates comparison. Comparison creates envy. Envy creates fracture. Fracture destroys unity. And Sparta valued unity above all. So the elite were denied excessive display. Rich men were forbidden from living too differently from poorer citizens. Because status must be controlled, not exaggerated. Modern systems reward exaggeration. Luxury is flaunted. Consumption signals rank. Sparta would have called that structural suicide. And ask yourself, how much of your spending is signaling, not necessity? Signal spending inflates ego. Inflated ego destabilizes judgment. Judgment destabilized invites collapse. Sparta trained rich men not to show wealth, but to survive without it. Why rich men were forced into hardship. The agog did not spare the wealthy. A rich boy endured hunger like a poor one, slept on reeds, trained barefoot. Why? Because inherited comfort breeds fragility. Fragility at the top infects the base. If the elite crumble under pressure, the state follows. Sparta did not fear poverty, they feared softness. Soft leaders negotiate poorly. Soft leaders spend impulsively. Soft leaders fracture under insult. Sparta hardened the rich to prevent moral erosion. Ask yourself, has prosperity made you sharper or softer? The answer reveals your trajectory. The injustice modern people ignore. Today, wealth often exempts men from discipline. Sparta reversed this. Wealth demanded greater restraint, because wealth magnifies consequence. A poor man's indulgence harms himself. A rich man's indulgence harms the structure. Sparta's solution was simple. Train the wealthy more harshly, because they hold more leverage. Modern societies do the opposite. Privileges expand with income. Insulation increases. Accountability decreases. Erosion accelerates. Ask yourself, If your influence doubled, would your standards rise or relax? Sparta never allowed relaxation at the top. Discipline. As power. Insulation. Discipline was not aesthetic. It was insulation against corruption. A disciplined rich man cannot be bribed easily, cannot be flattered easily. I cannot be threatened easily. He needs less, and a man who needs less cannot be controlled. That is power. Modern wealth often increases appetite. Appetite increases vulnerability. Vulnerability invites manipulation. Sparta attacked appetite first. Reduce desire. Reduce exposure. Reduce weakness. Ask yourself quietly, what does your wealth require you to maintain? Maintenance is the hidden chain. The fear of internal collapse. Sparta knew empires fall from within, not because enemies are strong, but because elites grow indulgent. Indulgence weakens vigilance. Vigilance preserves order, so they engineered discomfort as policy. Common meals, restricted luxury, shared hardship. Hardship equalizes. Equality stabilizes. Stability compounds. Ask yourself, are you building insulation or indulgence? An indulgence feels deserved. Insulation feels unnecessary until crisis. Why discipline signals legitimacy. A wealthy Spartan had legitimacy because he endured what others endured. Shared suffering builds loyalty. Modern elites isolate. Isolation breeds distrust. Distrust breeds instability. Sparta bound rich men to the same rules. Rule parity preserves order. Without it, resentment grows. Ask yourself, would those beneath you respect your discipline or resent your comfort? That answer determines long-term stability. The difference between wealth and arete. Sparta did not worship wealth. They worshipped arete, excellence of character, excellence of endurance, excellence of restraint. Wealth without arete was liability. Arete without wealth was still strength. Which one are you cultivating? And which one controls you? The wind moves through broken stone. Sparta's buildings are gone. Their discipline remains legend. They trained rich men differently, not out of cruelty, but out of fear. Fear of erosion, fear of imbalance, fear of collapse from comfort. The mountain of arete was never optional for them. It was mandatory, especially at the top. Sparta did not trust prosperity. That sentence should stay with you, because prosperity whispers. It does not attack like an enemy. It invites. It comforts. It convinces a man he has earned rest. Sparta believed rest at the top was rot, and rot spreads downward. The hidden reason. Power is fragile. Most people believe power is secured by wealth. Sparta believed wealth destabilizes power unless disciplined. A rich man with appetite grows visible. His visibility attracts envy. Envy breeds faction. Faction fractures states, so they controlled appetite at the source. They did not wait for corruption to appear. They trained against it. Modern societies attempt correction after decay. Sparta prevented decay before it formed. Ask yourself, do you correct weakness after it appears, or train against it before it forms? That distinction separates reactive lives from architected ones. Why common meals were political. The syssitia, the common mess halls, were not social rituals. They were power equalizers. Rich men ate beside poor ones. The food was simple, the setting austere, conversation controlled. Why deny luxury in private? Because private excess becomes public arrogance. Arrogance breeds distance. Distance breeds instability. Sparta collapsed distance deliberately. A modern wealth expands it. Ask yourself, has your progress distanced you from those you once stood beside? Distance alters perception. Perception alters loyalty. Loyalty determines durability. The training was psychological, not physical. The Spartans hardened the rich against insult, against hunger, against loss, because wealth without psychological endurance creates panic. Panic makes concessions. Concessions weaken authority. Authority weakened invites challenge. Sparta did not train rich men to fight enemies. They trained them to resist internal collapse. Ask yourself, if stripped of your comforts, would your identity remain intact? Identity built on possession dissolves under pressure. Identity built on discipline endures. The danger of unchecked privilege. Unchecked privilege amplifies ego. An ego resists correction. Resistance to correction produces blindness. Blindness invites catastrophe. Sparta engineered humiliation into elite training. The wealthy were tested publicly, mocked, corrected harshly. Why? Because humiliation dissolves ego. Ego dissolution preserves clarity. Clarity preserves judgment. Judgment preserves power. Modern elites often insulate themselves from criticism. Insulation without humility produces decay. Ask yourself, when was the last time someone corrected you without consequence? If the answer is unclear, your insulation may be too thick. Why Sparta distrusted luxury. Luxury does not merely comfort, it raises baseline expectation. Once baseline rises, tolerance for discomfort falls. Lower tolerance weakens resilience. Resilience is the currency of leadership. And the Spartans kept tolerance high by keeping luxury low. Even kings were restrained, because leadership required insulation from indulgence. Ask yourself, has your tolerance for discomfort increased or decreased with your income? Tolerance determines endurance. Endurance determines legacy. The economics of austerity, Sparta discouraged gold and silver. They adopted iron currency, heavy, impractical. It was inconvenient by design. Inconvenience discourages hoarding. Hoarding exaggerates inequality. Inequality destabilizes cohesion. Cohesion sustains power. Modern systems chase efficiency. Sparta embraced friction. Friction slows excess. Excess breeds imbalance. Ask yourself, do you eliminate friction in your life or allow it to protect you from impulse? Some friction is defense, not inconvenience. At the social tension. No one talks about. It feels unjust that rich Spartans were punished with hardship. It feels inverted. Yet consider this. Wealth magnifies influence. Influence magnifies consequence. Greater consequence requires greater restraint. Restraint requires training. Training requires hardship. Sparta believed the wealthy owed discipline to the state. Modern culture often believes the wealthy deserve exemption. Exemption erodes respect. Respect erodes unity. Unity erodes power. Ask yourself, do you see privilege as responsibility or reward? Your answer reveals your philosophy of power. Arete over comfort. Sparta pursued arete relentlessly. Not reputation, not display, not indulgence. Excellence of character above comfort. Comfort can be inherited. Arete must be forged. Forging requires heat. A heat feels unfair, but heat tempers steel. Ask yourself, are you forging character or protecting comfort? Protection breeds fragility. Forging breeds permanence. The legacy question. Sparta left few monuments, yet their discipline echoes louder than Athenian marble. Why? Because visible wealth fades. Internal order survives in story. Legacy is not what you display. It is what endures. Sparta trained rich men to value endurance over appearance, because appearance deceives, endurance reveals. Ask yourself, if your comforts vanished, what would remain that others could rely on? Reliability compounds. Appearance fades. The modern inversion. Today, wealth often isolates. Private jets, gated communities, selective circles. Isolation breeds miscalculation. Miscalculation breeds instability. Sparta resisted isolation, and they enforced shared experience. Shared experience strengthens cohesion. Cohesion stabilizes systems. Modern systems amplify separation. Separation amplifies distrust. Distrust destabilizes order. Ask yourself, does your progress isolate you nor integrate you? Integration sustains. Isolation fractures. The quiet fear. Sparta understood. Sparta feared comfort more than poverty, because poverty breeds hunger. Hunger breeds effort. Comfort breeds complacency. Complacency breeds decay. Decay destroys silently. Sparta treated wealth as volatile. They applied discipline as containment. Containment prevented explosion. Ask yourself, where has comfort dulled your vigilance? Dull vigilance invites erosion. The wind moves again. No marble temples here, no sculpted gods, only the echo of discipline in memory. As Sparta trained rich men differently because they understood power differently. Power without restraint collapses. Restraint without power stagnates. Balance requires hardness at the top. Hardness at the top preserves structure below. And now you stand at the edge of a harder question. If you gained influence tomorrow, would you demand more comfort or more discipline? That answer determines whether your rise strengthens your structure or begins its erosion. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius. The mountain does not bow to wealth. It bows to discipline. Climb accordingly.